Hooah! Hey, this is John here from Movie Lovers Unite, of course, and we're going to be doing the Godfather 3 review. I have Prop Top Alex here with me. I also have Rossie here with me. We're going to be talking about the Godfather 3. This is not my favorite Godfather movie out of the bunch, but still, overall, it's still going to be a fun time. So, with further ado, let's go on ahead and get on with the show. All right. How y'all doing?
Good.
That's great. Man, it's great to actually have everyone back and everything. I mean, I know that everybody's been busy and stuff like that, so it's good to actually have everybody inside the same room again.
Right.
Good seeing everyone. Hi.
Hi.
Hey, Alex.
But like I said, we're going to be doing our Godfather 3 review, so further ado, let's go on ahead. So I'm just going to give a little bit of a synopsis of what this film is about. It starts off in 1979 with Michael Corleone. He's approaching 60 years old. He racked the guilt over being a ruthless rise to power, especially for having ordered his brother Fredo, Corleone's murderer, who donates millions to charitable causes. Michael and Kay are divorced. Their children, Anthony and Mary, live with Kay. At the reception, following a papal order induction ceremony in St. Patrick's Old Cathedral in Michael's honor, Anthony tells his father that he is leaving law school to become an opera singer. So that's going to be the synopsis that I have. So this is your guys' first time, and after that I'll go into what my first experience was watching this film, because whenever I saw Al Pacino, the way he looked, I was kind of like, who is this? This is an imposter. So this is not Michael Corleone that I knew from the first two movies, but you can definitely tell this is not 1970. This is definitely not the Michael Corleone that we know from the first two movies. This is actually shot in 1990, pretending to be 1979.
Right.
And of course, this also had a budget of $54 million, and at the box office, it made $136.9 million for some reason. Wow. So, with that being said, I'll let you guys have the ground floor for right now.
You start off, Rossie.
Okay. Well, so I know, first of all, I know that people don't like, it's not the favorite one, but I really liked it. Of course, we start out, of course, another huge party, another gathering. I forget what it was for, but anyways, it's another gathering. And we get to see Michael again. It was odd to see him. I keep forgetting that he's aged. So he's really old this time. And he's, we're getting the news that his son, who he wanted to be a part of the family business, is going to be an entertainer. He wants to be a singer. We're introduced to Kay again, and she's aged quite a bit, but she's still. What I like about her, she's still devoted. She's still, involved in Michael's life, not just because of the kids, because I think she truly loves him, but still very angry at him because of who he became. So the movie starts, and all the politic and all that starts as well. A lot of new faces.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yes, a lot of new faces, and I loved Andy Garcia
as Vincent.
As Vincent, yes. As soon as we get introduced to Vincent, you didn't even have to guess whose son it was, because obviously he has that same energy that his dad has. So it was I like the new cast, new faces.
That was the weird thing about it for me, because I thought when it showed Anthony Corleone, I thought that was Sonny's son, because that actor looks more like Sonny than Andy Garcia did. I'm like, oh, that's totally Sonny's son. And then it was like, nope, that's Michael's son. I'm like, someone cheated then, because he don't look like you. But yeah, I was down for it at first when it started. I liked Vincent up until him and his cousin start flirting. I'm like, oh no, why what's happening here? Why are we going this route? And then when they were talking, she was like, oh, you probably didn't recognize me because I was just 8 years old. And then he was like, oh, I had a lot of 8-year-old girlfriends. I'm like, what? What the hell?
True.
What?
True.
The dialogue is not the greatest in the opening
No.
act.
So at that point, I was like, okay, I'm disgusted by both of these people. And I hope this gets resolved at some point. And thankfully, at the end of the movie, it does. But I was just like, okay. Not a great start. That planted a gross seed in my head. So I'm just like, So I'm just
first cousins at that.
First cousins,
yeah.
And then, like she said, I love him, but I can always love him first. I'm like, what? Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this. You know, when you first watch it, I'm not reviewing it to be reviewing it. That whenever I was, when you first watch it, that's whenever I did. I was like, okay, I didn't like question anything or anything like that. I was just watching it just to be watching it. But now watching it and reviewing it is a total different experience. I'm like, okay, they could have done without that.
Right.
And I'm like,
they could have done so many different things.
Right. They were trying to force a relationship between the cousins when they shouldn't even be needing to do that.
Right.
This is what happens when you don't have source material to a movie and you try to make it your own. That's what I have against films that do that. Now, I know that they're making a prequel to It, but at least with It, you have a 1,779 page book that you can make a prequel out of.
Right.
Because it revolves around that town. With this, they're making it's like, okay, basically what Coppola is trying to do is just capitalize off what he did with the first two films because of the fact that the first two films were popular. At least that's what I got out of it. But the opening scene with Vincent, I thought that he reminded me so much of Sonny.
Right.
And the way now I know that the look doesn't look fit him, but as far as the mannerisms of Sonny though.
Yeah.
He has his father's temper.
Yeah.
He also winds up making the same mistake that Sonny made by telling someone what he thought, and Michael had to correct him and tell him, you never tell anybody outside the family what you think.
Right.
And also, too, he also has Michael's strong abilities and strategies as well, because we see that being played out. It seems like Coppola was trying to go with nostalgia from the first two Godfather movies and try to make this one in that same kind of flavor. It just does not deliver, especially whenever you see the party going on, and then you see the singing, then you see the Johnny Fontaine character come in, and he's singing. And my favorite line, though, Al Pacino says to him, he goes, Michael, where are you going? Where you going? He goes, oh, I'm going to go put on some Tony Bennett records. That's what I'm going to do. Thank you for having. Thank you for coming out here. So, yeah. So, that's my favorite thing that he winds up doing is he goes, listen to some Tony Bennett records, just bringing his balls. So, I thought that was very good. Because, the sausages. So, he said, I like that. But then you get into the other characters that were introduced to. It kind of reminds you of the opening of the very first Godfather where you wind up having Marlon Brando's character, Don Corleone, and people are coming up to him for requests because it's his daughter's birthday, and nobody can he can't choose anybody on his daughter's birthday. With this one, you have Vincent, who's starting trouble with this other boss, this muscle.
Yeah.
And that's where the war confrontation comes in at.
Right. Yeah, I also back to the cousin thing really quick, guys. Do you guys notice that he made it a point for them to keep saying, hi, cousin. Hey, cousin. After a while, you're like, why are you wanting us to know that they're cousins? Because hey, cuz. And then they're saying that when they hook up together. So that was kind of odd because I kept saying, why is he stressing that they're cousins?
They're very flirty with it.
How you doing, cuz? It was odd. But going back to, I did like this one. It was interesting, but I do have to say, yeah, he did go back and pull a lot of things from the other two films because speaking of the muscle that Vincent, who did not like, remember the scene in the second Godfather where it's back in old Sicily and they're having that communion parade or whatever. And that's when, Marlon Brando as a young man, how he, becomes Godfather. He kills the guy and they're Okay, the same thing. They pull this that happened in this one. Also, the theater with the Muppet Show or Puppet Show.
Yeah,
So
in
with a lot
Italy.
of things, Italy, yeah, there's a lot of things that he did, bring back from the other movies. So I just wanted to say that, yeah, yeah,
Um, what I liked originally when I was first going through the movie, I liked how more lively Michael was as a character. He
Mhm.
had like not that I didn't like his. Not saying he had a lack of personality in the first two movies, but
right,
in this one you can see he's trying to open up more as a human being. He's joking around, he's smiling, he has different tones of voice. Like I liked it, but at the same time, I didn't like it because this movie seemed to ignore a few things that happened in the previous movie. Like, wasn't Michael like disowning his wife for aborting his baby?
oh, that's right,
Yeah,
right,
And also,
that's
but
right,
like
but also too
you kids
though
can
they
never see her again. Like you can never see your kids again.
right,
And then immediately in this movie, he's feeling some type of way about
right,
her, and the kids have a relationship with her. I was like, wait,
right,
when was any of this resolved?
very true,
You know?
well, I remember this though because it was been 7 years since they saw each other, and they even
right.
say that it's been 7 years, and this is
Because
the
she's
first
married,
time.
right?
Yeah, she's married
Okay,
now. She has another husband, so
right.
they haven't seen each other since that time.
Okay,
So over periods of time, I think things heal.
right,
So therefore, the way you thought of when you were young is you no longer act that kind of way. You kind
right,
of mellow out a little bit.
right,
So 7 years have passed since Kay and him saw each other. Because if you remember the opening scene, it also starts off with the empty house. It also explains
right,
Michael's emptiness that's
right,
inside of him because he doesn't have Kay. He doesn't have his family.
yeah,
So the emptiness and the decay is basically Michael,
right,
and that's what I got out of it.
okay,
And then you also have this whole thing where he's writing a letter to Kay saying how much he misses her, how much he misses the kids and everything. And after that, it goes to the exposition of 1979, where he hasn't seen Kay since that time.
okay,
So it's self-reflection. Also, too, you're dealing with some emotional damage too, because she said, "Wow, Michael, it's been a long time." He goes, "Yeah, it sure has." And then she wanted his blessing to tell him what his son's doing with his own money because he's going to be going to college
right,
Yeah.
and he's going to be an opera singer, and that's like the last thing that Michael wants to hear. Because here's the thing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but okay, Tom Hagen's no longer around. You see his wife, but Tom's not around.
right,
So he needs a concierge. He does not have a concierge in this movie to help him along. So he's trying to get his son to carry that concierge
right,
kind of thing and trying to push for him to be a lawyer so he can help him out with his business when his own son don't want anything to do with his business.
nothing,
Because
Yeah.
who would want to do anything whenever his uncle Fredo got killed on a boat?
and he
And
knows that now because
right,
the sister, bringing her into the whole movie, the daughter Mary,
right.
the fact that there were rumblings going on about the fact that he did kill his brother. They know it, she knows it, but she's kind of doesn't want to believe it. You know what I mean? Oh, gosh, I was gonna make a point. I'm sorry. Yeah, go on, guys. I was gonna make a point.
I'm sorry. But yeah,
Okay.
Alex, what else did you want to mention though?
Yeah, going back to talking about like Michael eventually like forgiving Kay, like he was really pissed off at her for aborting his baby. So like for the movie to start off being like, "Hey, I miss you," and I'm like, "Oh, you're just like you were really upset about that, Michael. Like you kicked her out of the house and forbade her from seeing your children. So you're just gonna be like, oh, I'm not mad about you aborting my baby anymore." Like he made a pretty big deal about it. So like I'd say I need like a bit more, like at least some form of dialogue. Like, hey, I forgive you for aborting the baby because I was this and this. I understand. Like we didn't get that in the movie. We just get like, I missed you. I was wrong. Da da da. But like I like story wise, I need him to like outright say that because it's just like, okay, you're just gonna let that slide. And then with his daughter, whole thing with his daughter, I felt like his kids didn't really have that much of an impact in the movie.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
it was just like, Dad, I want to be an opera singer. No, you can't. Please. Okay. And then and then and then he was
Oh.
an opera singer.
Well, then Kate walks in there. She goes, Michael, if you love your kids, and if you love me, you'll do it.
Essentially,
Kate.
it's just like,
Okay,
okay,
Kate.
And
okay.
makes it happen for the kid. The daughter, her involvement, what I was gonna say was kind of, I didn't know if she was gonna be involved in, his business. I know that they used her as a front, but it was still kind of unclear why she was seen so much in the movie. Of course, at the end, I guess you get it. I do like the fact that in the beginning, when Vincent attacks the muscle, and makes that a problem, and he really wants to be involved with Michael, and it's like, since Michael doesn't have his son who's not going to be involved, there you have Sonny's son, who's very much willing, wants to be a part of the family, and takes him under his wing, like you said, telling him, kind of correcting him, like he, not to make the same mistakes Sonny made, basically.
Right.
I don't feel that this one was as brutal as the last two.
No.
It seemed to be more about the business and
Family.
yeah, the family business, and Michael definitely wanting to get out of it. So there you have Vincent, but there were times where I didn't trust him too much. I didn't know at times if he was going to turn on Michael, with certain scenes, if he, so it was nice to see, that he was going to take over and eventually ride out with his uncle, and yeah, so yeah, he's much more calmer than Sonny, thanks to Michael. But Michael, doesn't have the son, so the nephew has to do.
Like, all right, next best thing.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much, yeah.
Nephew. Gotta raise up my nephew who wants to sleep with my daughter, and I'm just mildly concerned about it.
I was like, are they trying to keep it in a family? Are they trying to, is this some, going back years to where, you want the bloodline to stay there? But it was just
Thankfully, Michael does bring up, like, that's your first cousin, though.
Right.
But like, it seemed more of his concern was like, oh, it's not safe because he's a gangster.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
I'm like, yes, that is a concern you should have. But like, can we go back to, wait, why are you trying to do your cousin in the first place? And then when they show, I'm sorry, I can't get off that, because that's just what stuck with me as I'm watching. Every time I saw Vincent or his daughter, I'm just like, they want to sleep with their cousin, and then they kind of show them hooking up. And I'm
like,
right, up in Vincent's club during the time when he wants to do the mob hit on Joey Zaza.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I do love the look of the bodyguard that let her in. How he was just giving them the stank eye the whole time. Like, I'm gonna go get the boys.
Yeah.
And I'm just, like, he's probably talking so much mess outside. Like, well, he's doing something with his cousin. Well, that ain't.
Where's Vincent
that's
at?
all I could focus on in this movie. Like, why do movies like this try to make incest okay? There's just like, oh yeah, and these cousins are falling in love. Like, no, we're not doing this. Like, Game of Thrones try to make it okay,
right?
With Cersei and Jaime Lannister, like, as the season goes, like, no, they're in love. And I'm like, no, it's weird. Stop it. Don't do that. It's
exactly.
Not okay. It's not.
But you see, though, okay. So another thing I want to mention is this too: the part where Vincent is inside the same room with Michael, and they're having that dispute with Joey, and basically Joey winds up calling him a bastard in Italian, and that's what caused Vincent to bite his ear.
Okay.
And so, in case anybody didn't know what that was, that he called him. So he winds up Mike Tysoning him, doing Holyfielding him. So yeah, but I have to agree with Alex though. The cousin stuff is very cringy, and also too, even the guy, the bodyguard, and everything. I think he's not. We're not there. He's basically saying what we think. It's like, hey guys, Vincent's busy with his cousin. What do you mean he's busy?
I'm gonna go.
Like rolling Noki and flirting with the hands, rolling Noki, and I'm like, are they?
That was her only purpose in this movie.
You know,
She served no other purpose in this movie. Like, yeah, she was a front, but like we barely talked about what the front was.
right.
It was just like you're in love with your cousin. That's her arc.
Yeah, and you would
Mhm.
think that when he became what I forget the name of what Michael became, where he was in with the Pope, and when they made that deal, and it was in her name, and she went and talked to her dad about it. I thought from there, okay, so she's going to be involved way more than we think because they're using her as a front, and then that was it, and then it just it was the love story between her and her cousin, who was 8 years old and he was a grown man or older
He's
teenager.
like
So
15. It's
yeah,
still
like
gross.
it was
They're
still
still kids, still gross.
yeah, it was. So I didn't get, okay, why is she involved? Why is she so involved? Now we know that she's the front, but it was done and over with, like you said. I want to do want to say one thing about Vincent. Earlier in the film, you get to see, other than him biting the guy's ear, he was like his father in the means of he was very aware of what was going on when he was in his apartment with the girl, a very young Bridget Fonda. I think that's who it was who played that part. Anyways, they're in the room and he knows that someone is in the house, and you get to see how brutal he was, so that you knew that he was exactly like his father. When the intruders come in,
Mhm.
have the knife up to her and shoots the guy in the head. For me, that was like, okay, like other than the ear biting thing, like, okay, he's as
He's
they used
real.
to say in the '90s, he's about it. Like
Yeah.
he's for this. Yeah. So
He's about
yeah,
that
he's about it. He's about it.
life.
Yes.
Exactly, because when you see that scene where he winds up killing those killers that Zazo sends over
Right.
and stuff, he did a very sunny thing though. Aside from that, he gets the girl. He knows that somebody's in his house, so he
Right.
gets the girl to go ahead and he goes, I'm thirsty. I need some water.
Right.
So she goes on ahead, goes gets him some water. So she goes on ahead, goes gets him some water. She winds up peeking through the curtain because she sees something that's off-putting, and then
Right.
of course that's when we see the people robbing him, getting ready to kill him.
Right.
So he tells them, "Hey, you can go on ahead and shoot her. I don't care. She's just
Yeah.
another broad to me."
Right.
And she's just like, "What?"
And
What?
the reaction of the thug who's just like sees his friend gets his head blown off and he can't breathe. He's just like, what the fuck? And then,
That was very
obviously
realistic. That
that was,
looks pretty realistic. Like
yeah, it
that's
really
probably
was.
how I would react if someone just got killed in
Oh,
front of me.
absolutely. He did a great job reacting to that. And then he's dead. But we know now who, obviously who sent them over. They
Right.
want Vincent dead.
The scene that you were mentioning, Rossi, though, too, and I'll let Alex have his thoughts on in a few minutes about something. But Michael knows at the end that the Vatican Bank Archbishop Gilday has accumulated a massive deflect and offers $600 million in exchange for shares of
Yes.
Internalize and Mobile. He's a billionaire.
Right.
An international real estate company, which would make him its largest single shareholder. He makes the tender offer to buy the Vatican's for 25% share in the company, which will give him controlling interest. And in the billionaire board approves the offer pending ratifications by the Pope.
Right. Which is our main part of the story. That's the story right there.
Yeah.
That deal right there, which takes us through the movie, is that deal.
How did you guys feel about Joey getting killed off so fast, though? Because I thought he was going to be the main center point whenever I first saw the film, and stuff like that. I just feel like his character got killed off a little too fast. I wish it was this beef war where they're beefing between the two families.
Is that the one where the helicopter comes down and shoots everybody? Yeah, I was.
Yeah, Joey kills everybody, then Vincent retaliates and then shoots
Right.
in the crowd. Shoots Joey in the crowd.
Yeah. That scene alone, the most violent scene in the film. Wasn't expecting that. Didn't think that the whole family, basically all the families, would be killed right there and done and over with. I mean, it happened quickly. Wasn't expecting that.
As soon as the one older Dawn got up to I'm gonna go get him, talk some sense into him.
Yeah.
I'm like, you a rat, and then they all got killed.
Right.
in the room. I'm like, it's that old dude. He's involved. I'm like,
And
obviously.
handcuff the door, and I mean, to make sure that they're undead. Yeah, that took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting for something like that to happen so soon.
Yeah, I kind of figured Joey Zazu was gonna die. Not Zazu. That's the bird from Lion King.
Zaza.
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 Joey Zaza.
Joey Zaza.
Yeah, Zaza. I had a feeling he wasn't gonna last long, but I knew someone was pulling the strings. And I'm like, who's pulling the strings? As soon as the old man walked up, I'm like, that's the puppeteer. Okay, next. And I'm like, oh
And then,
nope, we still got an hour and 50 minutes left. Okay.
yep.
All
And
right.
then you have the other older gentleman who was Michael's close friend, the older one that always wore the hat, who oh gosh, dude, who I didn't even think would like betray Michael, because there was one part of the movie where I think Vincent was in the scene, and he mentioned to Michael, be careful who you trust or who you lend. It was something like that. And it was like, because he looked back at Vincent when he told Michael that. And I think they were over in Naples or Italy somewhere. But when he said that, I was thinking at that point, okay, he's hinting towards the fact that maybe Michael shouldn't trust Vincent as much as he trusts him.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting for the older guy to be the one that wants Michael gone. And it surrounds this deal that we have.
Right. It's all this power and all this money.
Exactly.
And that's what it's about. It's a
Right.
billion dollar deal, and everybody wants the piece of the pie.
Right.
It's just that family wants the bigger slice. So what better way to kill all the families to get that slice of pie?
Right.
Where you get it all. But it also goes to show you how powerful the Vatican actually is and how corrupt they are.
Yeah.
So it goes to a deep dive into the Vatican.
Yes, it does.
I always appreciate it when movies take shots at organized religion. It's like,
Right.
hey, it is kind of shady. Because like the whole like that was the purpose of this deal. Like whoever controls this company basically controls the Vatican, right?
Right.
So
Right, exactly.
Imagine how influential the Vatican is. Like they can do whatever they want and
Right.
pretty much get away with it. People are so into religion, so it's like no disrespect to people who are religious, but
Right.
like it
is what it is.
It's used a lot as a tool to manipulate and control people. So
Right.
it's like that's a scary thought. So that like one aspect of the film I did like, but it's just as I was watching this movie, it just felt like, okay, it's just stuff happening. I didn't really need any of this stuff to happen. Doesn't really connect to anything that happened before. So it's just like here. Also, the cousins want to have sex with each other. Like that's how much it kept being brought to my attention watching
Right.
the movie. It was
Right.
like, okay, all right, mob stuff is going on, and then the daughter would come up, hi, cuz. I'm like, oh god.
And remember, it was always cuz. Hey,
Always
cuz.
cuz.
Hey, cousin. Hey, cuz. Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
call him by his name at least.
Right.
Make me forget that y'all.
She does mention his name once in the movie. She goes, "Hey, Vincent."
Yeah.
And then she goes from "Hey, Vincent" to "Cuz."
Yes. Yes. I
Don't-
think my favorite part in the movie is the opera when they are going to see Michael perform at the opera. And I have to say, the way that was put together, while you're watching, the show, the play or whatever, and everything is connected. And I thought out of the whole movie, that was my favorite part, when we're winding down and you get to see, Michael's son perform and do all that, and the music that's going on and the orchestra and all that. That was my favorite scene, but I was just holding my breath because I didn't want, Michael to be shot and killed. And I was like, great. And I thought, gosh, Vincent really has turned on him, and he's setting him up, and, this is going to happen. And I was just, that scene was just very suspenseful, and the music and all of that. That was my favorite part of the movie. That wind down.
It's kind of, to be honest with you, it's kind of like life and death kind of thing where, okay, for instance, the puppet show that Michael goes in shows K. You have death going on over here
Right.
in the puppet show. Then you have life happening with the marriage, with Pete getting married.
Right. Right.
So it's life and death. And then in this one, it's also dealing with the fact that they're watching a play, but there's also death within that play itself.
Yes.
And it's also giving us Easter eggs into stuff that happened at the very start of the film, and also the origins of that Italian parade.
Right.
In the festival.
Right.
So it's basically giving us an origin. And yes, Abby, it's like the baptism in part 1.
Right.
With all the organized crimes and stuff like that was going on. But, you know, yeah, part of me was wondering if Vincent was going to turn on him, because it could wind up happening that way, because other mob bosses has a way of actually turning and twisting someone's head to make them believe, okay, well, if you sign up with me, you get a much better deal than what you have with Michael. But at the end of the day, it's all about who do you feel safe with. And also, too, just because you sign up with that mob boss, what makes you think that he's not going to kill you for betraying Michael? And if he's ratting out Michael, what makes you think that he can trust you? Trust him. So therefore, he has to kill Vincent would die. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, yeah.
But I want to talk about this. I like how in a way Michael is actually acting like his father to Vincent, and guiding him just like he did in part 1. Don Corleone was guiding Michael and was saying, "Look, I need you to do me a favor. You need to go ahead, go to the families, and I need you to check and see who's actually going to betray. And then that's how you're going to know who's going to betray you. Then you make your move." He's telling Vincent the same thing with like chess pieces. And I love how he's actually guiding him and telling him, do not tell people what you think. It makes you weak. You can do this, but you have to leave. But here's the thing. The relationship between your father, between my daughter and you has got to stop.
Yes.
And I'm like, thank you. I don't care if it's for the mob. I just want the relationship to stop. So for the sake of the family, just stop.
Like the first time in movie history where I agree with a parent, like, don't be with that person. I'm like, yes, don't do that. That's your cousin. Your kids are going to come out messed up.
But guys, think about this though. What did you think about the fact that Michael's sister is calling a lot of the shots? Like, she might as well be godmother, because she's involved in everything. When Michael had the diabetic shock and went to, the hospital, remember, that's when, Vincent made some decisions to, get back at the muscle.
Joey.
Yeah, Joey. I like the fact that she's more involved than we thought. In the first one, she's with the crazy husband whose son he killed. The second one, she's involved. And this one, she's really involved behind the scenes, because she wanted Michael to accept Sonny's son and bring him in. Like, that's what she wanted to happen. And she wanted, Vincent to eventually be given the family. But she did call a lot of shots. And, there was one odd scene with her where, okay, we're dealing with the cousin thing. So we're thinking, okay, this family's like this. And then you see the scene with her and Michael. And she goes up to Michael and she says to him, Michael, I've always loved you. And I'm thinking to myself, oh God, no, because she goes and she gives him a kiss. Do you guys remember that scene when she's okay? I thought to myself, oh gosh, no, because she leans over, gives him a kiss on his cheek. But I'm thinking, oh God, are you about to tell your brother that you're in love with him? But that was just a weird scene, because I thought they were gonna go there with the sister, but it's just that she absolutely adores her brother, but she did call a lot of shots. She
Thank God.
I mean, right. She was involved a lot. She was involved in everything that went on, and the candy to the dude, the candy that was poisoned, and she kept watching him eat the candy.
The cannoli. Yeah, it was the cannoli.
The cannoli, yes. The cannoli.
And once again, it's about the cannoli. Yeah, because cannoli. Remember in part 1, he goes, hey, don't forget the cannoli. Yeah, I won't forget the cannoli. Right. And then next thing you know, she winds up, you can tell she did something with the cannoli, because the way that she's over there trying not to eat it.
Right.
And trying to show that it's safe when it's not safe.
Right.
So I'm liking how she's over there watching him eat it.
Right.
And she's like, okay, yes, it's working. He's going to die soon. But I was like, he went through 3 cannolis already.
Yes,
How many?
he did.
I'm like, this dude should have been dead.
Yeah, I'm like watching, like, why does she keep looking over at him? Like, he ate one that was good. He ate a second one that was good. What's going on here? Until finally,
She's like, did I put the poison?
You know,
Yeah. I'm not good at this. I honestly didn't like. Oh, yep, there it is.
Yep.
Abby, that answer is my spirit animal. I didn't like Michael's sister either. Like
right.
The first movie, I was sympathetic for her. Obviously, like abusive relationship. No one deserves that.
Right.
Her husband needed to go. Cool. The second movie is they like made her a mooch. Kept asking
They made her a mooch,
Michael,
but she was also with this other guy who was actually conniving and everything too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
She had no luck with men.
Yeah, they're just trying to. Oh, Abby again. Yeah, she dips out on her kids. She does. Right. Where are her kids? We don't know.
That's right. Where were her kids?
Her kids are gone.
That is so true.
They didn't want to see the cousin stuff. They just didn't want to see the 2 cousins flirting, so they just went on ahead and went about their business.
Yeah, because she had boys that could have been involved. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's right. It was nothing about her kids. It was like she was just there. She was just there behind everything, just there.
Yeah, and I'm just like, girl, who are you right now? You were mooching the last movie, acting like you deserve things. Like, girl, what you been doing? Right. And then all of a sudden, you're going to be in this movie giving out orders. Like, who's you?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She was giving out orders like a godmother. She was giving out orders. She knew everything that was going on and giving advice.
I thought Michael was going to send her to go fishing.
I did too. I thought at some point, is she gonna take over? Is this what we're gonna do? Because I'm thinking that Michael's going to die. Especially during the son's big gig, his opera debut on stage. I thought that was gonna happen, and that maybe
dies.
And that she was involved in that, and maybe she wanted Vincent to take over because she was so for him.
You see, I didn't think that on that level, though, because of the fact that basically her and Michael have a close relationship in a sense. They may disagree, but at the end of the day, they're brother and sister.
Oh, no. I was questioning that.
But, I can see you going, I can see why you thought that, though. But at the same time, I'm like, well, they're brother and sister, and families fight all the time. It doesn't make me want to kill my brother for wanting to take vengeance, because it was about honoring his name, even though they went against him. Yeah. It was like, okay, I can see your point because there's no one actually to take charge. You don't have a mob boss figure or anything like that, so I can see that. Let's see. Abby says, I can sympathize with you. We're born into this lifestyle and has brought you nothing but pain. So now you're going out of Bender drowning it. But they never really redeem her.
They never redeem her. They give me no reason to like her. Like, what? Oh, now she's just running stuff. It's like, okay, like, no, that's not good storytelling. Like, why is she running things now? Like, why do I have to think she's cool? Like, I'm all for powerful women in movies, but I didn't like her the last movie because that's how you wrote her. You wrote her as a mooch that doesn't take care of her kids. Now she's leading stuff. Is she leading her kids? Her kids aren't in this movie.
And out of all the kids, you only see Michael's kids.
You only see
out
Michael's
of all
kids.
Women. There's so many of them, and you only see Michael's kids.
And that reminds me, they don't really explain Sonny's son being there. Like he's just like, oh, this is Sonny's illegitimate son, and it's just like,
he's just randomly there, right?
Yeah, he was just randomly there. Yeah, he was just.
That's why I was trying to tell you guys: pay attention to the fact that the girl that Sonny was banging in part 1, because it actually follows up with part 3. So that's why I was telling you to pay very close attention to it.
Okay.
That's how this movie should have started then, with a flashback that, and then kind of show that woman
Right.
like raising a kid, and then the kid grows up being around the Corleone family, but that way we'd be like, okay, illegitimate son, and like she's
context.
probably hiding him away.
Right.
The
Because he
mom's
doesn't
hiding
talk
him away
about it.
from the mob life. Yeah.
He doesn't talk about it. He only talks about his dad when he's with his cousin, Mary, because Mary wants to know, I heard about your dad, and remember he died before he was born, after his dad died. So he's like, yeah, he's a legend, whatever. But no, you don't hear about my mom. You don't hear about any of that. You just know that that's Sonny's son. And like you said, from the first one, when he's banging the woman, okay, that's where the son comes from. But yeah, they don't do a flashback of, maybe him explaining to Mary, yeah, my dad and my mom, and then maybe give a flashback of just, them in a little apartment or something like that, and that's another reason why I thought that they were able to flip Sonny at the end and make him go against Michael, was because I thought maybe he had some type of, anger or resentment that he was never around all those years, and now he's there. So, is it possible for him to turn on Michael and then take over the whole family? Because remember, Sonny, if he were still alive, wasn't he was going to be the Godfather. I mean, other than, popping off, he was, to me, in line to be the Godfather.
Yeah.
He was just irrational. So maybe,
Right.
Vincent had some, felt some type of way about that and was like, I'm going to, help kill Michael.
There's also something else I want to ask you guys about. So, what did you think about Michael doing the confession to the priest of Lamberto?
Oh, wow.
Nile, in talking about his guilt over the fact of everything he's done, and then killing Fredo and admitting to Fredo, and now because of his age, because at that time, when you're young, I'm not saying I killed anyone or anything like that, but when you're young, but when you're young and everything, you don't think about the people that you hurt along the way. You just think about in that moment. You don't think about the future or anything like that. You are in the present. You don't think about the future. Yeah. And you're young. You think you can take on the world. You think that everything's against you when they're not.
Right.
And I feel like that he could have been a lot more forgiving to Fredo, since he was so much more forgiven to his sister, who actually did orders when Fredo all he did was make a mistake.
Right.
Even though, but at the same time, though, he went after his wife and his kids.
Right.
So
remember,
there's that.
He
So
left that window
it's
open,
kind of,
for them to be shot. I felt bad for Michael at that time when he confessed. It was so sad. I felt, because I really like Michael. I really do, because I remember who he was going to be and who he ended up being. But that scene was just, it was heavy. It was so sad. He finally said it. And then when he's like, I killed my father's son, that was just like, that was heartbreaking. I felt bad for him. But and I was happy that I wasn't expecting for him to confess, because he's so put together and he knows what to say and what not to say. I mean, there's times where there was a scene where he and Kay were talking, and in the beginning, actually, and Kay was like, you're still doing whatever, and he never admits to what he's doing to her, because she could be wired, she could be, you know what I mean? So for him to actually confess, I was shocked, but I was hurt at the same time, because it was sad. Yeah. Like he realized what he did.
It's a redeemable.
Release it.
Right.
It was top tier acting from Al Pacino. And that scene. He started crying. I was just like, there he is. There's Al Pacino. Quality. That was a great scene, though.
Yes, it was.
That was very beautiful. Just letting all of the emotion that he's just been keeping in for the past couple movies.
Yeah.
Out, and it was really beautiful. Yeah. I understand the guilt he feels for having his brother murdered. I don't quite understand why everyone's so confused as to why he did that, though. Like in the movie, like, how could you kill Fredo, your own brother? I'm like, well, you guys are in a gang. Fredo did something that led to Michael almost being killed, his wife almost being killed, his children almost being killed. Like, you're surprised that he was like, oh, this man almost ended the lives of the people I love. So
I
as a
gotta do what I
gangster,
gotta do.
I gotta kill him. So, like, I wasn't really shocked, but I was like, yeah, Fredo's gotta
Right,
go.
he's got to go.
You
It was
can't
Right.
like
sad how it happened because he ended up being Michael Jr.'s buddy and all that. But how could you trust him? You know, if he was influenced once, he could be influenced again. And remember, even in this film, when Cuz is talking to Cuz Mary and asking her cousin about, I remember when our house got shot up when I was really young. Yeah, that was your uncle that did that. So yeah,
like right there where I say
yeah,
like
yeah.
children on the planet are boys. I was like, yeah, Fredo's gotta go.
Yeah,
Right.
he had to go.
Blood, but you tried to murder my blood.
Yeah.
So
He had to
like, I
go.
don't know why everyone was shocked. Like, how could you do that, Michael? Like, well,
What did you
your
expect?
niece would have been
Right.
dead.
Like he said, I did it for the family. I did it for my kids,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So then we also have another thing too. This is actually called Vincent's Revenge, and basically this is actually the same thing that on part one it was called Michael's Revenge for that chapter. So now
Okay.
we have Vincent's Revenge, and in Vincent's Revenge we have Vincent's men smother Kensing,
Yes.
and then hang him from the bridge, making his death look like a suicide. At the opera, you have Connie, like we mentioned, gives Albertolo a poison cannoli and watches him die at the opera box. Carlo, Tommaso farmer bodyguard, stabs Lucchese in the neck with his own spectacles.
Right.
Then you have Neri travels to the Vatican where he shoots and kills Gilday.
Right.
So
Yeah, it was
Gilday
exactly-
poisons.
yeah.
Right.
They copied
Exactly the same thing.
First movie.
Yep.
Yeah. Same thing. Same. Yeah. And that's another scene where it was like, oh, okay, that's like when Michael was in his baby was getting baptized and
Right.
all that shit went down while Don was in a hospital. So the same thing that happened. So he repeated a lot of things, and it was the same damn thing.
Now, my question is this: do you feel like it was needed for him to repeat that because of the fact of his trying to show the strengths that Michael has, or did you think that it was just there just for the sake of nostalgia? It didn't really move the plot along for anything.
No, I felt that it moved the plot along. I felt it was a throwback, but also it moved the plot along. Absolutely, because in it explained when I'm thinking that he's going to turn on Michael, and then you see it all being played out. Exactly what happened with Michael in the first one with his revenge. So I felt like it moved the story along. It explained why he told Vincent to go and pretend like you're going against me, and it explained all that. So yeah, there was a reason, but also it was a throwback.
No.
Okay. I also feel the same way you guys do too. I feel like that it was actually to show the masculinity of how strong he is, how he has that will to actually do anything that needs to be done. Also, too, it shows that he's actually Sonny's son, while also carrying on Michael's traits, though, too, that Michael taught him. So that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Then we finally get the overacting of that we got from the cousin, which is Coppola's daughter. But I like how they do this with Vincent whenever he's saying goodbye to her.
Oh.
Because this will be the last time that you'll ever see me tonight.
Right.
After this, it's over. And she's like, no. And then
I love you. Go love someone else.
I love you.
Someone else I love.
And then you get the final shot where you see the priest that's going to shoot Michael, but first you get the guy who's acting like a jackass, acting like a donkey on the stairs.
Right.
And thinking that he's going to shoot him, but instead it's actually the priest, and the priest winds up shooting grazing Michael while also killing his daughter. And then he goes, Dad? Bump. I'm like,
yeah, that was so messed up, dude. When she was like, Dad? And then she falls down because she's getting ready to ask him. I just thought, I wasn't expecting that. Like, okay. So, and then honestly, guys, at that point, I'm like, there's the reason. That's why she's in here, because it's showing how much he loves his kid. And then you see one of his kids, she gets shot, besides the cousin thing, but she gets shot. And it was just, dude, that was sad. But yeah, that was really sad.
I wanted to be sad at that moment. my immediate thought when I saw the bullet hole in her chest, I was like, thank God the cousin romance can be over. That was my first. I was like, cool. It doesn't have to be weird anymore. Like, I shouldn't feel that way about this scene. Like, his daughter just got murdered. Like, I should
Horribly.
be weeping right now. But no, it was. That's.
I just didn't feel like that she served a purpose on anything. They could have done so much more with her, like you mentioned, Alex, because of the fact. Remember when at the very beginning at the party, where basically Michael's using her basically to do the promoting for the business,
Right?
And remember, the guy's coaching her, goes, "Remember, use your soft voice and talk slowly so everybody can understand what you're saying." And then she winds up doing exactly what they tell her to do. She could have been the front end of the whole business side of it,
Right?
and using her in that kind of angle. But instead, they used her as a forced relationship between her and her cousin.
Right.
She's only there vaguely for a few minutes, and you forget about her. And then they put the brother and sister back together again to have this walk with Michael in Italy. And then he explains to them about how he married somebody else.
Right.
And then I also liked how Kate calls him out on this, because we forgot to cover this. But remember this?
Yeah.
He winds up, he goes on and he goes, Kate, this is in this room here, in this room. I thought about you all the time.
He's trying to.
And he goes, but you married somebody else.
I was waiting for that.
But still.
He tried to put the smooth talking on her, and she immediately called him out. It was like, and then he got married. And he's like, he like
forget about it.
He got put on hush mode for a minute. I still thought about you, like, bro. Come on.
I was waiting for them to bring that up.
That's such a frat boy answer,
you know.
Right. Because anytime when someone brings in, like in a trilogy where they bring back some moments from the first movie, you know the person's either going to die or they're doing some stuff reflecting on their own characters and their character building. Okay. So whenever I saw that, I'm like, dude, you only married Kate because your wife got blown up.
Right.
It kind of reminds me of Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back, where Justice winds up getting blown up in the van, and then Silent Bob just looks at him and goes, "What? It's not cheating. Justice blew up." So that was like the first thing I thought of when whenever Michael winds up marrying Kay, because of the fact that his wife winds up getting blown up.
Yeah.
But I like how Kay calls him out on it. Goes, every day, Kay, every day, I come out here to this window. And I think about you all the time. And no.
And I was happy that they covered that. So I was wondering, like, does she know? Didn't she? Because they never talked about it. He never went back and said, I married someone. It was kind of like he never brought it up. So I was happy for her to mention that and, throw that back up in his face. Like, you married someone else.
Mm-hmm.
Boy,
you're with someone else.
With me. Try again.
Yeah, like I'm not new.
It was always hard for me to like Michael after that part in the first movie. I was just like, oh, he really misses his boo thing, and then he gets married to this random lady. I'm like, oh, shady. And then once she dies, he immediately goes to Kate, like, let's get married. I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
Michael is.
I love Michael.
Red flags.
And how sad was it that he again another something that happened in the first one, how he died, like his dad died basically. Mm-hmm. Outside, puppy around, sitting in the garden by the villa. Yeah, the villa. And he's really old, and he's sitting there. Camera just kind of backs up, and you see him sitting there, and then he just dies. And it's like, I appreciate that ending.
Me too, because here's the thing. It's all about, and here's the thing. There's no redeemable moments for Michael. He was going to die alone, as an old man without his family in the villa that he ended up hiding out from. And that was a sad apocalyptic way of actually dying.
Right.
Without his family, because he came close to getting out of this thing with his family, with everybody. He almost got the ending that he wanted. If it wasn't for the priest shooting the daughter, he would have actually made it out out of it without having to worry about anything, and then Vincent taking the helm of the family.
Right.
But I liked the villa. I liked how they did that. It's so
Yeah.
ominous and haunting, and then they just go on ahead. They end it. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, me too. I thought that was a great ending. Nothing needs to be said. You get it. You know why he dies like that. And yeah, so I really enjoyed this one. I was yeah, I liked it. It was good.
What about for you, Alex? I kind of did that on purpose.
Alex, please don't hold back. Please be truthful here.
The ending for me, the ending just felt like, okay, now it's over. It was just like his daughter died, and it was like, oh yeah, that's sad. The incest thing's over, so I'm happy about that. And then it just shows like a montage, and then Al Pacino's really old and he's dead. Okay.
Yes.
Right.
And then it ends. And I'm like,
See,
that was 3 hours of my life. Just strange. So strange. I won't say this movie was disgusting. Like other people have described it to me, like, oh, Godfather 3 is trash. It's total garbage.
Yeah.
Like, I won't say that. I won't go that far. There are obviously parts of it that I didn't really enjoy. I thought the acting was really good. There were elements of this movie that were entertaining. It just didn't feel like it needed to be there. Like they should have just left it at 2. Like I think it would have been much better if Vinny wasn't in this movie at all, and it was just his daughter, Michael Corleone's daughter, like trying to get in on the family business. Like, hey, Dad, I'll be the front, but also, teach me on the up, teach me how to run. Let me be the godmama. You know what I'm saying? And then at the end, you're building her up. She's becoming a really cool character, and then kill her at the end,
right?
Because Michael didn't learn his lesson about keeping his family out of it, and that would have been more impactful. That would have been a better movie to watch. But you need a man to run the mob, so whatever. And you need that man to sleep with his cousin too. But whatever.
You see, for me, I thought if they got rid of the daughter element, and maybe she's traveling, doing something, and just leave the son in the movie, and then have it primarily just focus on Vincent, I would have been okay with it.
Okay.
And everything, because I think it would have actually had a better storyline.
Someone needed to go.
Yeah. That's the bottom line. Either it was the son or it was going to be the daughter.
Right.
But the relationship between Al Pacino and the daughter just doesn't click. That was a forced relationship. Everything about this was a forced relationship. We even had a forced relationship watching them have a forced relationship. So that's how bad it was. But, watching this again and stuff like that, it has some redeemable moments, like Alex said, and stuff like that. There are some things that works, and there's some things that doesn't work. And this movie is messy in certain areas because of the fact that it's not based off of anything. It's just, like I said before, it's just basically Coppola wanting to make another movie because the other 2 movies were a success, and because they got nominated for Academy Award noms and stuff like that too. So you have a popularity of a film. Everybody loves gangster movies. So he's probably like, hey, what the hell? It's the 90s. Let's go and bring Al Pacino back and everything. Let's get this guest back and make some money. I'm actually surprised it made the money that it did.
Yeah. Hey, people love franchises. They'll see it. There will be people that see it.
I'm happy that we finally got to see it. Can't believe I have.
That was my other question. That was my other question for you guys.
Okay.
Are you guys happy that you guys got to see this movie for the first time, and these 3 movies for the first time?
This movie, no. All the movies, yes.
I enjoyed. Yes, I'm happy that I got to see them. I liked all 3. I thought they were good. Obviously, as we pointed out, there's things in the third one that didn't need to be, but it kept me interested from beginning to end. Liked the way it ended. Certain parts I really liked, and I'm happy that I got to see what the talk was all about, all the memes and the sayings and all that, the horse in the bed and all that type of stuff. Like, I got to hear a lot of things that people would make jokes about, and it's like, oh, Oh, okay, now I get it. All right, it's from Godfather 1 or Godfather 2 or 3. They were good.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I think that's everything that we had wanted to cover as far as the movie goes. But Abby has a few things left, though. Too, she said, "I feel like it has moments, but I mean, when you come after part two, it's definitely not up to the same standard, but it is totally garbage." And then she says, "I think the tragic part is you see so much love for Vito Corleone from his family, and not the same for Michael. And it's just fear for
Yes,
Michael." Yep,
very true. That is very true. Yeah,
definitely.
they love
Business.
Vito. Yeah, that's true.
So, with that being said, guys, that's going to be it for tonight. But I do appreciate you guys watching all three of the Godfather films. I'm glad that you guys got to experience it for the first time, and now you can actually basically wipe that off of your bucket list of movies to see.
Right.
So, with that being said, everyone have a great and safe night, and we'll be back on Monday and give you guys another show. Stay tuned for more stuff because I do have a couple more things that I do want to start doing. We're going to do some pre-tape shows coming up. And since I'm not going to be around in October because I'm getting married, so we're going to do some pre-tape shows. I'm excited. Raise the roof. But yeah, I'm going to be getting married in October, so I figured we're going to do some pre-tape stuff, and even the editing and stuff like that for the audio side. I'm going to do the editing and all that stuff, so the way it can be automatically scheduled for certain days. So it'll be available on audio, and it'll also be available on YouTube as well. So with that being said, guys, that's going to be it. I hope that everyone has a great and safe night, and bye-bye.